Perfect. Okay. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's session. We'll have people probably trickling in for the next couple of minutes, but thank you for joining us this morning. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that the land we identify as RTO9 is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Huron-Wendat peoples. RTO9 honors the land, the people, and the treaties, recognizing the original guides of these territories and their enduring contributions. As treaty people, we all share the responsibility to uphold these agreements in a fair and respectful way. As a partner of Indigenous Tourism Ontario, RTO9 is committed to supporting Indigenous communities by creating space for their stories and helping foster socioeconomic growth through tourism. Just to touch on a couple of quick housekeeping notes before we get going. First, if you missed it, this workshop is being recorded and it will be available for viewing after today's session on the RTO9 website, which is just rto9.ca under the resources tab. There is also lots of opportunity for engagement in the chat with Elaine, so feel free to pop in there, ask questions, engage when she asks some questions to feel out what your businesses are, what you guys are interested in learning. Or if you're interested in asking a question anonymously, you can do so at the bottom of your screen in the Q&A box. You are going to receive a follow-up email after today's session as well. It's going to include a copy of the recording as well as a quick 2-minute survey link if you're able to spare some time to review the session. That would be greatly appreciated. And now, without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to our lovely facilitator this morning, Elaine Alexander. Thank you again for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks, Meg. Welcome everyone. If you could put in the chat, um, what you do. What do you do? Where are you from? What do you do? It'll give me an idea of how to tailor this a little bit more. So, what do you do? And I'm going to get started. Here we go. What do you do? So today we are talking about teamwork and tools, AI and collaboration. We've got some really exciting things. So we will be talking mostly ChatGPT, but I have some tips on a couple of other AI. So in the chat, we've got Kelly. I'm a facilitator for Meta Employment Services. Awesome. Linda, newspaper publication, bookkeeping business. Amazing. Carol, I work in culture. I'm an artist selling my work. Robert from Belleville, I run a small association. Alexia, Prince Edward County Campground and Cottage Resort owner. And Sherry, board member, consultant, and MA student. Amazing. Okay, so we've got a large cross section of different things. Feel free to put any questions in the chat. Feel free to stop me, and I will try to answer anything. We are talking ChatGPT today, using ChatGPT to make teamwork, systems, and delegation easier, especially if you're a manager or running a team or a small business where you're having to train people. This session is going to be really, really useful. So by the end of the session, you'll know how to use ChatGPT to process the stuff that's in your head and put it onto paper. One of the things that's really hard is onboarding staff and training. I did a bunch of helping real estate agents hire an assistant, and hiring is an interesting process, but then onboarding and training is a whole other beast. And so you'll know how to create simple onboarding docs, SOPs, checklists without having to spend hours and hours. You'll prep tasks for delegation. This was a really cool prompt. Because often when we're training people, we don't always give them a full picture of what we need. And so this will help fill in the gaps and fill in the holes. Use AI to support teamwork. There's some really cool things. Even if you're solo right now, there's some really cool things that you can start building in, and build internal tools that save time and reduce training every single person over or repeating yourself. So, hi, I'm Elaine. I'm an ethical AI strategist and I'm a coach. I'm also in my last little bit of my therapy grad program. I'm married to a tech geek. I'm a toddler mom in my 40s, and I have traveled the world. I absolutely love traveling. So most businesses don't lack ideas, right? We're full of ideas. I get ideas every single day. I've never talked to an entrepreneur or a business owner who doesn't have a bunch of ideas, but the implementation is where it falls short. How do we have enough bandwidth to maintain the systems to implement everything that we're looking for? Especially when everything lives in our head, right? Getting it out from our head onto into reality is where the work needs to happen, but it often gets stuck. Um, AI helps capture this. And so it's easier to hand off, to share, to reuse. So this isn't about replacing people. I'm not an AI fire everyone. A believer that AI will help you get started. It solves the blank page problem. Often we have things like SOPs or onboarding training on our to-do list, and we don't do them because we don't even know where to start. It's so overwhelming. And so I believe that AI will help us get started. It solves the blank page problem. So ChatGPT is great at getting the messy thoughts out of your head and put them into something that somebody else can read, right? It takes the napkin scribbles and makes it a little bit easier. And actually, you can take a picture of your journal, your napkin, your to-do list, and it will help put that into a system. It is a drafting partner for systems and processes. I am going to do some live prompts in a bit, and you'll see what it's created. It impressed me. I was like, oh. And it's a way of creating consistency without micromanaging. No one likes to either have to follow up on every little step or be micromanaged either. So onboarding and training. Most people, so put it in the chat. Have you have you needed to onboard or train anyone in your business, in your role, in what you've been doing in the last year? Yes. Awesome. We've got one yes. Amazing. Yeah. Oh, we've got a pile of yeses. Amazing. How do we feel about it? Yeah, summer students and volunteers. So that's regularly high turnover, constantly having to do it every year or every season. Who loves it? How do we feel about it? Who's like, yes, I get to train new people? Anybody? I'm not seeing anything. I don't mind it. Excellent. Depends on the people. Absolutely. Daunting and time consuming. Completely. Enjoy it, but always time constraints. Right. So when we use ChatGPT to draft those onboarding docs, it can help fill in the holes, right? It's often when we're training, we forget a piece of it, and then the seasonal staff or the person learns by making some mistakes, which is how we learn. But this is something that we can use to kind of catch some things that always happen. We can create here's how we do things guides. And so every place, every business, every role, every company has different values, different ways of doing things. And sometimes staff is brand new and they have absolutely no experience and they need very, very basic training. Or sometimes they've learned things about a company that does it a certain way and they need to unlearn that uh, and updating training manuals without starting from zero every single year. And so the example prompt is create a simple onboarding guide for seasonal tourism staff. Keep it friendly, practical, and easy to follow. So here's um, my experience with onboarding. It is overwhelming and it can be very time consuming, right? Some people love it, but having something written down, having videos, having certain things that go with your SOPs, with your materials can be really helpful. And so we're going to talk a lot about this. But one of the things that I love when creating training and SOPs is actually recording myself, especially if it's a technical task, especially if it's something that they need to go into a website or some kind of software. What I generally do is I will do that task. I will record it. There's a couple of different ways. You can do it with Loom or you can do it Zoom. Zoom gives you 45 minutes for free, even if you're not paying for an account. And then you can take that video and you can actually take the transcript or the video. ChatGPT is not great at the video, but Gemini is. And you can actually take that video or the transcript and create an SOP out of it so that you have the video and the step by step in your manuals. And so this is something that I've been training people to do for a long time where, maybe there's a task that they need to do once a year, or maybe there's something that um, they need to do every day, and they can refer back to the document and the video this way. I love creating videos with step-by-step instructions because people learn in different ways. And I have a methodology for training people when I do things. So I believe in the I do, we do, you do training. And so the first time I do it and you watch. And so I'm going to record that. So when I do it and you watch, I'm going to record that so we have it. Then we're going to do it together. And then after you're going to do it and I'm going to watch. And so as I'm doing that first step, I'm going to record it so that I have it for them in the future. And when they're stuck on the you do it, they have something to refer back to. ChatGPT can take that task that you already do and break it down into steps. And so I will show you in a little bit. I took one of my training videos and it broke it down into a checklist. And it did a detailed one and a really simple one. Is pretty cool. It'll clean up your language. So it will put things in really good sentences. Sometimes we don't always speak really well, and it'll make things easier for somebody who's new. Often, we're so used to doing things that we do it unconsciously. And when we're training people, we have to slow down and remember each step, right? So the example prompt is turn this process into a clear step-by-step SOP for a new staff member. Any questions so far? Just want to take a moment. What have we learned so far? Put it in the chat. Any good, any best bits? Just gonna give it a minute. Save a lot of time writing. Yeah, absolutely. Right. The task of sitting down and writing out step by step what you're doing and in order and thinking of all the things that you do is a lot of mental work, which is great. If you love doing it, go for it. And if you don't, there are some ways of extracting that data um, so that you can teach people better. Not everybody's great at training. Some people are really good at doing something, but they're not good at translating that information to other people. Um, Reorder as required. Yeah, sometimes we skip steps, right? Meetings and internal communications. ChatGPT is great for drafting meeting agendas. Um, I like the speaking function into ChatGPT. Sometimes we just need to get our thoughts out all jumbled up. And so I will show you that in a little bit. Writing quick staff updates, explaining changes without overcomplicating them. Sometimes when we are explaining changes to people, we get a little bit too detailed because we're trying to defend the change. And so it will help tailor that language. So less confusions, fewer follow-ups. And the example prompt is draft a short, clear message about a change to our booking process. And then you can use it to create checklists that people actually use. So if a checklist is too long or too vague, it gets ignored. I once worked with a real estate agent who had an 8-page checklist, and it was detailed. It was amazing. And no one used it because it was so overwhelming. They didn't know where to start. And so sometimes steps are important and we need to check things, and sometimes we can group things. But the idea is to make it useful and actually get people to use it. So create a pre-opening checklist for busy tourism business is the example prompt. And here's where it can break things down into realistic steps. It can create checklists by rule or shift, and it can adjust things for busy seasons or slow seasons without having to rewrite everything, right? Who's great at delegating? Put it in the chat. Yes or no? Great at delegating. Robert says yes. Amazing. Not so much. Depends. No. Yeah. Right. And so sometimes delegation breaks down. I know that I've had some people that I've worked with in the past, and even myself. Often we say, just figure it out, or we give really vague instructions. Sometimes it's too detailed. Sometimes it's not in the way that the person learns or needs to hear it. Sometimes we just can't get the stuff in our brain out. And so delegation's really, really important, and it often breaks down. And when it breaks down, we often say, never mind, I'll do it myself. So before handing something off, you can use ChatGPT to clarify what you're asking for, define what done means, think through all the steps. There was one case where I had someone say, hey, I want to create this in Canva. Can you do it? And I spent a couple of hours doing it. And when I handed it in and I gave it to them, they were like, no, I wanted this. And they gave me an example. And had they given me that example, they wouldn't have paid 3 hours of me trying to figure it out. And so sometimes we're just missing a step. We're missing an instruction. So the example prompt is help me prepare clear instructions so I can delegate this task. And it will find the holes. When I put this prompt in, as you'll see in a minute, it was like, what task? Oh, we it will help find those really unclear things and help us think through some of the stuff that we need to. Measure twice, delegate once. So running a task through ChatGPT first helps catching missing info, spot assumptions, save time later. Often we assume that we've told the person exactly what we want. And that's clear to us, but not clear to them. I worked in yearbooks for a long time. I was a yearbook rep, and I was working with 50, 60, sometimes 80 schools over a year-long process. And I had to actually define done at one point because people will add adjectives and adverbs to done. So almost done, nearly done. And I had to be like, done means this. Done means in my car. Done means submitted. Done means this is what actually done looks like. And so being really clear with those things, you can brain dump and then there's less cleanup. And so using ChatGPT, running it through that is kind of like stress testing it. So a tourism example is training seasonal staff. ChatGPT can help you create guest interaction guidelines, what you want them to say in scripts for common questions, how to answer things, guidance for tricky situations. And it will be in one place and you can update it as things start to happen or you notice things. Often we don't update those onboarding manuals, those SOPs, because it's so much work. But if it is super easy to throw into ChatGPT and you can update it super easy, it's actually going to get done. So the example prompt is to create guest interaction guidelines for seasonal tourism staff. Keep it calm, clear, and practical. And so adding who it's for, what kind of tone you want is also really, really important. And it will tailor it, as I'll show you in a minute. The other example is to create an operations checklist. So great uses here are tour prep, cleaning and reset, event setup and tear down, right? Making those expectations really clear. Often conflict happens when expectations are not communicated properly. And so when the expectations are really clear, there's a checklist They become repeatable, they're easy to tweak each season, and we reduce work conflict because those expectations are super clear. All right, so let's go play in ChatGPT. And we've got some fun stuff for you today. So I created this prompt. So create an SOP. And what I actually did was grabbed a transcript of a training that I did about Canva AI. And so I literally copied the text. If you're using Gemini, you can actually load the entire video. ChatGPT is not great at reading the video, so I grabbed the transcript and copied it and pasted it. You could upload it as a file, but it still wouldn't read it properly, so I went in and grabbed it. And it's super long, which is why I'm editing it here so I don't have to scroll. I do have the transcript file right here, but it didn't read it well. Gemini does better at this, so that's why I just copied and pasted it. And so it said, here's the SOP, here's the workflow, this is who owns it, this is the goal, this is the tools you'll need, these are the inputs, those are the outputs, the frequency, quality checks, steps, and it was quite long. It brought out a bunch of things that I didn't even think about. It created step-by-steps for the training that I did on Canva AI. And so I can actually use this. It's great. And then it said, if you want, I can turn this into a one-page SOP version for a VA. Less explanation, more checkboxes. And so I said yes. And here's the one page with checkboxes. And actually, you can actually copy and paste this into a Canva, into a PDF, into a Word doc, whatever you need to. And it's got all of the things that you would need to think about. And so it did a great job. It could do a second. So ChatGPT is always programmed to keep the conversation going. So it's always going to make a suggestion. It will create a do and don't for clients if you want. It will do a second SOP. If you want this for a graphic designer versus a VA, it'll do a different one. And so it may not be perfect, but I can actually grab this and bring it into something and edit it. You can also ask it to create it in a canvas. So I've done that somewhere else. Let's go look. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to edit this transcript as well so I don't have to scroll as much. Here we go. So in this one, I literally said, help me prepare clear instructions so I can delegate this task. And it said, I'm missing the task. What are you talking about? And so at this point, you can use the dictate, this microphone, and you can just talk through the task, but I loaded the transcript. It said it didn't have enough, so I copied and pasted it. And then it grabbed it and it did all kinds of things. It did audience deliverables. It said, here's a step-by-step SOP, what to prep before you take brand photos, which is a topic that we talked about in the training, best tips. So it took that training and analyzed it. It took the transcript and did all of these things. So now I can create a bunch of things out of this. I can create a Google Doc, I can create a PDF one pager, a photo prep checklist, an optional email summary of that training. And then you can say it will change. So if you are delegating to a VA, a designer, a course assistant, editor, it will change the tone, it will change the level of detail, it will create checklists, it will do everything for you, depending on what you need. How cool is that? An SOP is a standard operating procedure. So it is how we do things step by step. It's a training manual. Yeah. The next prompt was create guest interaction guidelines for seasonal tourism staff. Keep it calm, clear, and practical. And so it created this. Now you'll see that this is in a canvas. And so you can actually prompt it to do it in a canvas. But the nice thing about a canvas is that you can live edit. And so you can go in here and actually edit the text right here. You can even bold things. So if it got something wrong, you can edit it right here. Okay. Um, this is a really nice feature. All you need to do is when you're putting in your prompt, say output in a canvas. So output in a canvas, and then use that edit button, and it will allow you to live edit text. So let's say this is not correct. State what's possible, always in the positive. You can live edit this. ChatGPT is programmed to always guess, so it may not get everything right. It is programmed on the principle of a multiple choice test. And so if you guess in a multiple choice test and you don't know, you might get it right. So it's programmed on the same assumption. It is going to guess when and fill in information if it doesn't know. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. So we need to check everything and use our best judgment. But it will start it. So it will allow you to live edit text and get the information in a somewhat appropriate format. It is always a first draft, so it's never going to get everything perfect. It's something that we have to work with, but it solves that as humans, we are terrible at either starting things or finishing things. We're generally okay working on things. But it will either put the polish on things or it will get you started so that you can edit and you're not working from a blank canvas. When I was working in yearbook, often I would tell the students, don't just stare at the blank canvas, grab something, put a template on there. It'll look nothing like it when you're done. But if you're just staring at a blank canvas, it's really hard to get started. And so this will help you get started. It should not be the final output, though. Always go back, always edit, always make sure that it is doing the right things because it is going to guess and fill in information. All right, so the other thing that just got introduced in December is a start a group chat. So you've always been able to share chats. And so if you go to a chat and you click share, you can copy the link and send it to someone. You can share it to LinkedIn, you can share it to a text message or an email, you can actually share it. But in December, they added this start a group chat. And so you can start a group prompting session and it's going to allow you to copy the link. And then when you send it to that person, they accept it, you can actually go back and prompt it together. And you can see the live prompting between people, which is really cool. You can collaborate with your team. If two people are working on a project, you can prompt it together. You can see what the other person is prompting and what you are prompting, and you can work on the chat together. In light of edit text, you can do all of that kind of stuff. So we've got somebody in the chat. Robert says, can it produce nice looking checklists with bolded headings, different font sizes, and checkboxes we can pull from a Word doc? Or do we need to do that manually ourselves? So in here, let's go back. In here, it did checkboxes for me. Let's give it a shot. Bold the headlines. I have mine set to not bold. I have custom instructions for a reason, but let's see what it does. Yep, it'll do it for you. Does that answer your question? Kind of cool, right? Yeah, amazing. So it's all about the prompt. It just try. And here, let's go to the test delegation. Actually, no, guest interaction. So add checkboxes for bullet points, bold headlines. There you go. Kind of cool. Yeah. So any questions on the group chat? Here's where you can add people, you can start a group chat. And it's something that you can collaborate on the chat as well, which is really a cool feature. I'm not sure if Copilot does the same group feature. It's possible. I haven't used Copilot a whole lot. I've used Gemini and Claude a whole lot. Yeah, so somewhat similar to Google Docs, except it's kind of like a group Google. Yeah, definitely like Google Docs, but you're pulling from Google at the same time. So pulling information and answers at the same time. Kind of cool, right? Any questions so far? This is a feature that they're definitely going to roll out some more things around. I think this is going to be the start of something kind of cool. So we'll see what they roll out next. Um, it's kind of a combination of like Slack, Google Docs, Google, pulling information and really bringing in that collaboration piece. So we will see what they roll out with next. Does anybody have any other questions about the live demo? I just want to give some space. So put it in the chat. What have you learned so far? What are the best bits from today? And the more you play with AI, the more advanced and the more you'll see what it can do. It is there's I think this year is going to be the explosion of AI tools. It's kind of like the explosion of streaming services. And so my advice would be pick one, learn it. Don't get caught up in which one to use. Just use one, get to know it, train it, do what you need with it. Don't get caught up in which one's better. Just use one and figure that one out, and then you can start using different things for different things. Um, yeah, so the mic feature is amazing. We're better at talking than we are at typing. We're faster at talking than typing, and sometimes we just can't get our words out properly. And so the mic feature is amazing. Um, Sherry says need to play with it. Robert, cannot AI be used to convert training documents into training videos with graphics and narration? Not yet. So Canva AI has released an AI video generation, and it will create 8 seconds of video. I think it's coming probably this year or next year. Definitely will be able to do that soon. But I haven't heard of anything yet. Um, so stay tuned on that one. I work backwards, so I create the video and then create the documentation to go with it. But I'm sure that um, AI video, it's a bandwidth issue right now. I think they're working on it, but right now it can only do certain lengths of video and certain formats. But definitely they're going to figure this out pretty soon. Candace says more effective prompts. I didn't know what it could review. Yeah, it can review audio and video. Again, it's not great. ChatGPT is not great at the the audio and the video, but Gemini was impressive. So sometimes I go to Gemini, load certain things, and then bring it back into ChatGPT. So you can transfer information that way and copy and paste. But it is something that I think ChatGPT is definitely working on because Google has figured it out. So I'm sure it's gonna come. Carol says, I like the chat component and the easy formatting. Yeah. So you can prompt it to do anything. The worst case it will say is, no, I can't do that. But give it a shot, right? Ask it to do things and see if it will. And sometimes it's really surprising. And if that tool doesn't work, ask it what tool you should be using. One of my favorite things, my husband's a techie, and he's tired of being my in-house tech support. And so he's taught me to take screenshots. Often I will ask ChatGPT, but it'll get stuck and it doesn't know. The thing with being an entrepreneur is often we get stuck on the tech. Software stops working, something's stuck, and we're trying to figure something out. And so it will give me instructions, but the problem with software is that there's different tiered pricing. And so it will give you instructions based on everything. And so if I upload a screenshot of what I'm stuck in, what I'm trying to do, then it will often give me better instructions. And sometimes it's because I'm not paying for the feature. And sometimes I'm just missing where the button is. And so if you upload a screenshot of where you're stuck, it's really great at getting you unstuck with the tech. Kelly says they used it to plan a birthday party and it came back with such a detailed plan, right? Like so many uses, so many uses. We've got some past recordings on different prompts and different ways to use it. One of my favorites is using it to meal plan. Sometimes I don't know what to cook for supper, so I'll take a picture of the contents of my fridge and say, what should I make? All kinds of uses. Uh, Alexia says it helped me fix a major email issue. So great, right? The time that we spend trying to tech support and figure out the tech is one frustrating and two, so much time that we could be using on other things. And sometimes we don't have a resource. So uploading a screenshot, getting some more details will help us get unstuck. So great. All right. So AI, and just to recap, AI doesn't replace judgment or experience or human connection. It helps hold the structure so people can focus on the work, right? And so what it outputs, it does not out own the outcome. So what it outputs, it does not own the outcome. You do. And so if it creates a training manual that trains people in a way that, the steps are not real or the things you would never ever say, that's on us to edit first. That's on us to tell it to change the tone or to change the direction. Always, always, always add your experience. I'm a big fan of storytelling. We learn through stories. And so adding the story of how you handled a guest interaction or adding a story of with some context will help your training manuals, your SOPs, your onboarding documents. Um, and so we need to take it as a first draft. We need to take that as, okay, cool. Now I have a starting place and I can add this story, I can add this context, I can add this never do that. And it is never ever the first draft is never ever the final output. It adds structure to our busy, messy brains. And that's everything I've got, unless you guys have questions for today. I'll open it up in the chat. We're a little bit early, so we've got tons of time for questions.
I was going to say that collaboration piece on ChatGPT that they came out with that you were showing us there with the sharing of the prompts, I think is going to be developed into a great tool because honestly, if there's any overlap in what people are doing within your organization, why reinvent the wheel, right? When
Right.
you can share prompts and people can build off of them and then share successes with each other so that it's making everybody's job a little bit easier.
Yeah. And I think it will stop people from working in silos. Often people are working on similar things and could be collaborating in a way that is like, oh my God, I never thought of this. And so it will help that overlap, but also like just make us all smarter with our prompts and with our ideas and adding that structure.
Perfect. So does anyone have any questions for Elaine? I know that prompts is usually the biggest part about ChatGPT and formulating a good prompt. But we do have another session. We had a recorded session on prompting. If you want to go back and watch that, I do see a question here from Alexia. What do you think about ChatGPT purchased add-ons, for example, to help with social media? Are they worth it?
So it depends what you're trying to do. Can you give me an example of an add-on? So most of them are free right now. I am seeing that they're rolling out ads soon, and there will be some paid ones coming up more and more. Um, it depends, right? There's a war on social media right now on AI generated content. And so a lot of people don't like it. Some people are using it and it's obvious. Some people are using it and it is not good. And some people are using it really, really well. And so it depends on, are you using it for video? Are you using it as a first draft and then you're editing it? Are you copying and pasting it? Are you using it to create AI images? And what is your need in social media? So, do you need to be posting constantly? Is that how you actually attract customers and clients and build your business? It really depends on which one and what your goals are. So the ones that I saw tailor content to your business for post reels helped. I would start with training your AI in your voice, in your values, in your there is a social media training that we did, I believe, in October or November. So go back, watch that one. The recording's a little cut off, but you'll get the gist of it. Before you pay for anything, um, play with ChatGPT first and get it really trained in who your ideal customer is. Give it a lot of that context and then see if it doesn't meet that need, then look at the paid ones. But you can get a lot of good output by just training your ChatGPT and storing a bunch of memories and really giving it context first. And then look at everybody's building something to go with AI to monetize AI, um, but only spend if it's not meeting your need. I would go back and train it first.
I was going to say a lot of work to go into it, but the quality of the output is going to be greater.
Yeah. And even if you spend, they're going to ask you the same questions because they don't know your business, right? And so you're going to have to do that work anyways, with anyone, even a human. So if you are hiring anybody for social media, they need to know who your ideal client is, what you're selling, what your offer is, what your product is, all of that detail anyways. So start with by putting that into AI first and then see if that's not enough and then invest if it isn't. Candace says, thanks again for clear, accessible walkthroughs of the possibilities. Good. I'm glad you're leaving with new tools in your toolbox. Alexis, good. Awesome. Thank you. You're welcome. Robert, we're looking for an admin assistant in Belleville area. This will help them get up to speed. Also, it looks like they can use AI to help train themselves on certain things. Yeah. And even create SOPs as they go. Um, yes. And make sure that they have a couple of documents on your values, your vision, your mission, how you do things. And because AI is a blank slate, right? And every business has a way of doing things. So if you give it a little bit of context, it's also great as an admin to get them to create those SOPs as they go along. Once they've learned how to do some tasks, they're wonderful at, hey, next time you do this thing, record yourself and create a document. That's also amazing. Take some stuff off your plate and then you can review it and give feedback. But yes, amazing. Um, Kelly says, thank you. Amazing. You're very welcome. Carol, thank you so much. They're helping me get over my fear of AI. Yeah, I have the same fear, right? My husband's a techie who went to the Microsoft Build conference in Seattle a few years ago. He came home and was like, you need to use AI every day or we can't stay married. I ignored him for a full year. because I had no idea what to use it for. I was using it like Google, and there's so much more that you can use it for, but it's definitely a play around and figure things out. Um, and no one's really figured out too much right now, so we're all just learning and you know, mucking about. And so the more you play, the better it is. I don't think you can break AI, but the one thing I tell people is always stay within your boundaries and your ethics. And we're going to be covering that in the next session of what not to use AI for and how to stay ethical with using AI.
Yeah, and that next session is coming up in February, February 17th. So if you aren't already signed up, there will be a link to the registration for that in the follow-up email today as well. So if you're interested in joining us for that, registration is open. You can sign up. It's going to be same format virtually like this. Um, Feel free to join us for that. Also, a friendly reminder in that email that's going out today, there is also going to be a quick survey link. If you can fill it out and let us know how you found the session. We really appreciate your feedback. And again, recording will come as well in that email, but you can also find it at any point on the RTO9's website, rto9.ca, just under the resources tab, and you'll get AI to fill it out. Perfect. There you go. Easy peasy.
Right?
But keep an eye out for that. And I don't see any other questions coming in. So we'll let everyone get back to their day. We're about 10 minutes early. But thank you so much, Elaine, for another amazing session and our final session next month, which is going to be exciting but also sad because we've been together now on this 6-part journey. And, you know, it'll be sad to see it go, and there's going to be so much that's going to still be coming down the line. But I know that we're looking at other opportunities, any other training information that people need when it comes to AI. We're going to stay in touch, and we'll see what else is coming down the line in the next fiscal year. There's one last question here from Sherry. Can SurveyMonkey and ChatGPT work together? Do you know, Elaine?
Everything can work together as long as you copy the data. So I don't believe there's a SurveyMonkey plugin you can search, but anything that you're getting, you can download as a CSV or an Excel file and upload um, into ChatGPT. It's a great way of looking, especially for feedback, great way of looking for patterns and analyzing that data. I always say take out any identifying information, so any email addresses or anything like that that you don't want to share because the regulations over privacy have not caught up. So take that stuff out, upload the data, and prompt away. Ask it to look for patterns, ask it to look for common things that people are asking for. Ask it to match it to your plan for something that you're rolling out a launch or anything like that. So anything that is coming off of SurveyMonkey that you can copy and paste, download as an Excel or CSV, you can absolutely upload into ChatGPT or any of the AI tools.
I was going to say, I think it actually works the opposite way now too, that if you needed help generating a survey,
Mm,
you can either, I think SurveyMonkey has now a section that you can copy and paste, like you can paste in questions so that it can automatically format them into multiple choice answers. So you could go into ChatGPT, say, hey, I need help generating a survey about this topic, and these are the main things that we want information on. It might spit out a bunch of questions for you. You just copy them and you can paste them into your SurveyMonkey, and it'll make making surveys super easy for you.
amazing. Amazing.
Everything's always advancing, everything's always updating. Well, thank you again, Elaine. We really appreciate it. If anyone has any questions for Elaine or myself, please feel free to reach out. Enjoy the rest of your days and keep an eye out for that follow-up email. Any feedback you can give us is really appreciated. And thank you so much for joining us. And thank you again, Elaine. We'll see you February 17th for our final session.
Thanks, Meg. Thanks,
Thanks.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.